watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
There we go. Very good evening to and welcome to the Scottish Football Zone. And I can't believe every time we come on here when we do shows, it's very exciting. You don't know what way the title's going to go because it was another exciting week on the Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. And we've got another bumper weekend to look forward to as well. And also we've got a few shows to tell you about as well. During tonight, we'll join by Regan Stevenson, but also we are joined by Telfer Gray, and he's got a big smile on his face at the moment because you're only 18 games away from touching that title.
Yeah, no, 12-12 cup finals, as Derek McInnes alluded to. 13 earlier, now it's 12. So, yeah, it's the most exciting title race in my lifetime for all Scottish football. It's great to see.
Yep. So get your comments coming in. And also we thought, well, what the hell, let's do a bit of fun. Because it's Valentine's weekend, I thought, well, I may as well say to the guys, if you've got a poem connected to football, let us know as well. And I, even though I come up with the idea, I can't think of one off the top of my head. So if you've got any comments, let us know in the chat. And also if Telford's got one, Reagan's got one, that'll be okay. If not, that'll be okay as well. So it's just a bit of fun on a Friday night going into the weekend. So let's get going then. I'll because it's a big weekend, I've kind of like turned it up back to front, if you know what I mean, Telfer, and look at the Sunday game first. Obviously, you've got your team Hearts going to Ibrox 4:30 kickoff on the Sunday against Rangers. But first up, let's talk about the Kilmarnock Celtic game on Sunday. That's at 2:00 kickoff. Yeah, a big kind of end to the game on Wednesday night. Oxen Chamberlain came on the park, and it was only on the park a few minutes, and he got a big 3 point for Celtic. I must admit, Livingston defended well. The goalkeeper had a brilliant game. I mean, Celtic dominated the game. I don't know if you saw the highlights, Kelfer, but yeah, Livingston defended well, and another massive 3 points for Celtic.
Yeah, as you'd expect, regardless whether it's Rangers, Hearts, or your Livingston, you're still going to be defending at Celtic Park for lengthy periods of the game. And it was very fitting. Oxlade-Chamberlain couldn't have got off to a better start for Celtic, and perhaps he silenced some doubters among themselves because his time at Besiktas was a bit topsy-turvy, and obviously been out of the game for a while. So, yeah, the onus is on him as well to prove to himself and the club as Celtic will rightly look to retain their title.
I think we've got the first poem of the night, but because I've said that, right, I'm a bit iffy now because of the comments, so I'm going to censor the comments before I actually put them up on screen, but I'm sure they'll be okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw any of the game on Wednesday night, Telfer, but as I say, I never look at the stats after the game, but Celtic dominated the game, and I think this might be a weird comment to say, but I think the man of the match would have to go to the Livingston goalkeeper because he pulled off some magnificent saves on in the 90 minutes. Oxlade Chamberlain got the man of the match. But I thought that was a bit weird because he was only on the park for what is it, 10 minutes or something like that. But
Saying that,
yeah,
I think
another 3 points.
yeah, saying that, I think Thomas Magnuson might have been given man of the match for Hearts against Hibs after he scored the winner as well. So look at it both ways, I guess.
Yeah, so basically I've censored this poem right, and yeah, it's okay actually. So roses are red, violets are blue, thistles are purple. That's the best I can do. Well, yeah, that kind of worked well for my Packet Thistle fan. So yeah, I'll take that one, Telford. Marks it a 10 for that one. I would give that maybe a 9.
Oh, it's subtle, but it's good. I'll go 7.
I bet you when you joined the Scottish Football Zone team, you didn't think you would be on talking about Valentine's Day poems.
No, but yeah, you never know what can happen at a football game these days.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about Livy a wee bit. I kind of fear for them this season. I think they're down as well.
Yeah, only one win all season, but at the same time, they're staying well in games. Other than the home defeat to Dundee United, which I think was 3 or 4 goals, they're still. I wouldn't rule off Livingston just yet. And they made quite a few signings in January as well, in particular striker Tam, I think it is. I still think there's something to come out of Livingston. They won't finish higher than 11th, but against Dundee this weekend, you never know. But I wouldn't rule them off just yet. I think we're still maybe a few games too short of that.
There you go. Graham came in and said, Roses are red, Hearts are still top. Can Channel Glue stop having a pop? There we go. That's good. And yeah, so I've never been on the show with two Hearts fans before, so that's good. I must admit, Telford, where before I said to you to come on the show, I actually forgot it was Valentine's Day weekend and you support Hearts, so it kind of works in well. Hearts and you as a big jambo coming on the show. But yeah, I mean, so talk to me about that signing. Oxlade Chamberlain, obviously, Celtic's got an option to buy. Do you think that's a good move for Celtic, especially coming into the final home slate of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realise it was an option to buy, but rightly makes sense. I think he's quite versatile. Usually plays on the wing. Can maybe even play him behind the striker now, or I'm sure he's still got a good bit of pace of what he's renowned for. So I think he's versatile. He can play 2 or 3 positions along that forward to attacking midfield line.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good kind of like signing for Celtic, but also as well when kind of like high profile players come up to Scotland. I think it always kind of like improves the Scottish game as well.
Yeah, and it can only help give more credibility to our game and help attract more audiences. The Hearts social media, when I look at the signing of someone from Uganda, Kazakhstan, we've got Brazilian, the international sort of audiences to the game is growing across Scotland with obviously our exciting title race this year, and Oxlade Chamberlain will only contribute to that.
What do you think that the feel good factor again is back at Circuit Park after Martin and Neil coming back from you would say maybe like a second time this season.
Yeah, and they're still unbeaten in the league with
Mhm.
O'Neill at the helm as well. So it's going to be squeaky bum time, shall we say, that last, to the old cliche, that last 2 or 3 games of the season. But they've not been winning convincingly. Saying that though, a couple of their signings have came up with key moments in the past like 3 games as well. So Fankara, and then you've got Adamu, and now the week just this week it was Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, no, I think it's good for. I think it's good for the game, healthy for the game as well. When you obviously we've got Hearts. We'll speak about their game in a minute and against Rangers. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think Celtic's not been playing the best football, and neither have Rangers playing the best football either. But I mean, I think when you go into this time of the season, the fans are just hoping for 3 points. It's a bit like cup football. When you go into cup football, you don't care how you win, long as you get through to the next round.
Yeah, and with Celtic, with all their success and their calibre in the game, they should go into every single game in the Scottish League expecting to win. That's what their fans demand. And it's not been happening this year for more than one reason, shall I say. There's been lots going on at the front line and behind the scenes of the club. But other fans can maybe look at it and be like, oh, we'd do anything for the success of a Celtic or a Rangers.
Why do you think that's Telford, that Celtic's not been playing well, getting any consistency? Is it because they've had like 3 managers coming in? Well, 4 now. Obviously, you've got Rogers, you've got Wilfred Nancy, Martin O'Neill coming in before Nancy, and then again until the end of the season. Do you think that kind of like upsets the rhythm of the
Yeah,
team?
absolutely. That constant interruptions with formations, with intensity, whether they want to sit back. And it's amazing that also when Rogers left Celtic, that was like an outburst from both of them. That was a big scandal. But right now, this season, you think that's maybe the 3rd or 4th biggest scandal they faced, such as the crazy season that it's been. And yeah, it's just, I think like Celtic they've created a bit of momentum, consistency, and you wouldn't put it past them from going on a run again to lift the title. So Rangers and Hearts, and perhaps Motherwell will try to prove a few doubters wrong.
Yeah, no, everybody kind of forgets about Motherwell, but I think you know, Motherwell and Motherwell will be deciding where the title's going to go, because if I'm not mistaken, that they've got to play Rangers at Ibrox after the split. Celtic at Celtic Park and Hearts at Tynecastle. Am I right? Or
Hearts will play Celtic at Tynecastle, most likely. Yeah,
yeah,
and
and Motherwell will play Hearts at Tynecastle or for Park. I can't quite
the
remember.
Hearts Motherwell is likely to be at Fir Park because Hearts' last game before the split is at home to Motherwell. So I think the title race could be decided with the Motherwell games. I don't think Motherwell have a chance of winning the league, but still could finish 2nd or 3rd. But I think where it will come from who gets 4 or 6 out of 6 against Motherwell will be one of the deciding factors of who will lift the title.
From a Hearts point of view, Telford, are you quite happy to see Celtic in still in European football? Because obviously, obviously they would, apart from this Sunday, they would have to play catch up with Hearts and Rangers because obviously Celtic will play on Sundays. Rangers and Hearts will play on Saturdays, depending on the TV schedule. So, were you happy when Celtic qualified for the next round?
Yeah, I was thrilled. I support any team in Scottish football who's in Europe, and for the title race especially, it bodes well. And I was less thrilled to see Celtic and Rangers drawn in the quarterfinals of the cup. Though obviously in normal circumstances and seasons, I would be happy. And again with Celtic's trip to Aberdeen a couple of weeks being cancelled as well, their fixture congestion is looking quite nice from a Hearts point of view and a Rangers point of view as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, there hasn't been any kind of in terms of the Oxen Chamberlain, and I think that will be a good signing for Celtic. Do you think that they've got the kind of like strength and depth to go the way? Obviously, we've seen it in previous seasons, but this season is very, I don't know, very unique to Scottish football.
Yeah, and although obviously Rangers and Celtic both, I think, have maybe the same amount of titles now, or maybe there's one or two in it, whatever. I know it's very close. But obviously with Celtic's dominance this side of the millennium, or this side in the last like 14, 15 years, even in Rangers, I think there might only be, there'll be a couple more. Off the top of my head, I can only think of James Tavernier, who's won the Scottish League title. So when you think about the players who know how to do it and how it's done, there's quite a few more in Celtic who do, but there's not that much difference between players in Rangers and Hearts who have won the league title in Scotland for experience-wise.
And Martin O'Neill's back at Celtic. The feel good factor is back at the moment, but a big couple of weeks coming up for Celtic. Obviously, they've got to go to Ibrox in the cup, and then in the league, and then they've got the European games as well. So a big couple of weeks for Celtic.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't scrapped the cup replays instead of going to extra time now, and that would be great if they got a 0-0 or 1-1 and then they had to play again. But yeah, it's good.
Martin O'Neill says after the game on Wednesday, was talking about the game on Sunday, says it's going to be a very difficult game. Kilmarnock will be up for the game, and I suppose a big game, the cup final now for Kilmarnock because they're near the bottom. And obviously, Kilmarnock would want to build on Wednesday's performance against St Mirren. And believe it or not, if they win on Sunday, that will be a first time for a wee while that Kilmarnock's won 3 back-to-back games at home.
Yeah, and when you think back to the start of the season, from the middle of August until the first week of October, Kilmarnock were top 4, top 5, and playing fine football. And then ever since Hearts beat Kilmarnock 3-0 at Rugby Park, they've just spiralled, and they will look to use the momentum and going into the split, maybe only needing 1 or 2 results at the very most to escape that relegation playoff. They will want to have nothing to play for until the split. They're too far, obviously, to get to the top 6, which I think is still a formality. I don't think it's going to change. But Kelly will rightly look to rediscover that early season form that they had.
And you'll be looking for Kilmarnock to do you a wee favour before your game kicks off at 4:30 on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Derek McInnes Mel McCann, get carried away there. He says, I think they will come to Rugby Park. Any game against Celtic is big because they're fighting to win the title, but we are fighting for our own issues at the bottom of the table, but we at home, and it's going to be our third back-to-back win if we win at home. So he's actually talking a good game, Neil McCann. But as you know, Telford, you might have thought, you might have maybe not this season, Dell talking about the games as well, but it's all right, man. You're just talking a good game, but really supporters aren't interested in that. They're all interested is when they cross that white line, are they going to win the game?
Yeah, well, Mr. McCann will have, and Mr. Dodds will have a lot of expertise in how to talk a good game from their previous jobs. And yeah, it's exciting to see. I think it'll be a tight match. I think Kilmarnock still played admirably when they were defeated by Rangers, albeit going down to 10 men early. But yeah, I still would be surprised if Kilmarnock take any points at home to Celtic. But it is good that they're going to that with confidence with 4 goals. Can you believe that they scored 4 goals, Kilmarnock? They'll go into it with confidence against Celtic.
Do you think it helps Celtic as well? Because obviously it's a different surface, but because they've been down there a few weeks ago playing Auchinleck in the Scottish Cup, so they've actually played at Rugby Park, twice in a quick succession. Do you think that will help Celtic because they'll know what that the surface is like?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think it's been quite a wet and windy and horrible winter. So I think all clubs across Scotland, in particular Aberdeen and Dundee United, I think all clubs will have played some games or training sessions, during the week on Astro, whether that's just once or twice a week. I can't see it playing an impact. I actually think if it was on grass with the weather we've had, most pitches haven't been in great condition. So I think the AstroTurf in this situation actually might help Celtic because the pitch is more conducive to fast, free-flowing football.
And I suppose like every game now is a cup final, well, to Celtic as well, to Rangers and Hearts, but especially Kilmarnock fighting for the bottom. Do you think that they'll have enough just to miss out or on the playoffs, or do you think that they'll be in there?
I really don't know. It'll be Livingston last or second last. I'm pretty confident about that. I still think St Mirren have got enough. I'd like to think, but I also like Stephen Presley. I don't know what it is. He's grown on me. I like the way he conducts himself, his demeanour, the way he was wrote off. I'm kind of rooting for Dundee to stay in the league or avoid the playoffs. I think it's too tight to call, but I think Dundee are just they're struggling for goals. I think, and Simon Murray's not been on form, so I think even though I'm rooting for Dundee, I think Kilmarnock, if they can keep it up, and they might just get over the line.
Do you have a prediction for this game, Telfer?
For
Kilmarnock and Celtic.
Kilmarnock Celtic, I'll go 2-1 Celtic.
Okay.
A bit tight, but I think they'll play it out and see it out fine.
Yeah, no. 2-0 Celtic, I'll go for in that one. 2 o'clock kickoff. Just before we move on to the other games, because this is Valentine's weekend, I thought, well, let's have a wee joke here and get your poems in as well. Remember, it's a family show and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so if you've got a Valentine poem about your club or whatever, or your favourite pie at the games, or maybe not go near pies actually. But yeah, so if you've got any poems, you can let us know in the chat, and we'll read them out to you. And we will also be talking about the games at the weekend. So if you've got your predictions, you can let us know. Before we move on to the big game at Ibrox, I'm going to tell you about a couple of shows on the Scottish Football Zone. Can St Johnstone's history build a better sustainable future for the club? So we'll be joined by the St Johnstone and the historian of St Johnstone, Alistair Blair. People might recognise the name. He's part of the Scottish Football Zone, and he wrote a book about St Johnstone. And so you can find out more about St Johnstone, and we've got an interview with Adam Webb, the chairman of St Johnstone, on the 2nd of March at 7 o'clock. And I'm delighted to have this guy coming on the show, Telford, on Wednesday night. We've got Craig Ferguson. You might remember Craig Ferguson walking to the Euros from Scotland to Germany. Well, believe it or not, he's doing it again. He's walking to America, and I think it was next weekend, actually, to the World Cup. And he's coming on the show on Wednesday night at 7:30. So, watch it for that one. Craig Ferguson, he's doing it for a mental health charity. I think he's doing it for Sam H. So he'll be here on Wednesday night at 7:30 to tell us more about the work that he's doing as well on the main curve. So that's Wednesday at 7:30, and the St Johnstone one on the 2nd of March. Okay, let's carry on. Let's go back to the game. Ibrox. Telver's dying to talk about this game. Rangers against Hearts, 4:30 kickoff. Before we go on to Rangers, talk to me about Hearts, because that was a big win on Tuesday night against Hibs, and that will set them up nicely for the going to Ibrox.
Yeah, it was huge, a huge win to come out in the tussle derby, and it was before Hearts were defeated 1-0 by St Mirren. People were saying if we won against St Mirren, Hibs, and then Rangers, they think the title was done. But I think some people will still think if Hearts defeat Rangers on Sunday, there's no way back for Rangers. Yeah, it was a terrific game, a terrific result. Maybe not a terrific game, but as Derek has been saying, performances don't matter all the time. That's the sign of a good team, knowing how to get across the line. Got a lot of dogged determination. You see Cammy Devlin, Lauren Shanklin, Craig Halkett were out. They were still right behind their team. I think the camaraderie is so high, and the spirit among the club is unmatched.
Yeah, obviously, Hearts has been at the top of the league for most of the season now, and I think that breeds confidence as well. But also, as well, it was interesting how Hearts will bounce back from the loss against St Mirren that night in Paisley, and also I never saw any of the game in Tuesday night, but by all accounts, it was a kind of dull game. But I mean, from a Hearts perspective, you wouldn't care about if it was a dull game or not. Long as you get 3 points, and I suppose like winning games at the last minute and not playing well and being top of the league and all that kind of like breeds confidence as well.
Yeah, and I think it's worth realising that, yeah, we've won some games, we've not been playing the best, but our defensive structure, we've been so solid and tight at the back with our goalkeeper, with our fullbacks, centre-backs. Everyone knows their own responsibility in the team. So I think it's worth praising our back line and defensive structure as well.
Yeah, no, I talk to me about the feel good factor around Tynecastle because obviously off the park it's going well with the supporters, but if you're winning games, that kind of breeds confidence as well, and it becomes a bit more. I don't want to say easier, but it kind of helps. It kind of helps the players kind of like every week, and obviously they can smell the title now. It's in kind of like
Yeah.
touching distance.
I wouldn't say it's like we've had no off the field trouble and issues that Rangers and Celtic have had, and yeah, we're leading. But I'll still say the pressures on Rangers and Celtic. Hearts shouldn't be where we are. Tony Bloom obviously stated at the start of the season, within 10 seasons. I still think, even if we were to come third, hypothetically, God forbid, we hope we don't, it's still been a cracking season. And looking at it, I think 84 points, maybe 82, 84 points, definite wins the title. Maybe even win it with 80, 82. And when you look it up, I think 8 wins and three draws and 1 loss, or even 9 wins and 3 losses, as long as the losses aren't to the Glasgow 2, might just get us across the line.
Graham saying in the chat here, we have been written off so many times this season, and we're still there.
Yes, Derek said the same. He's got a little bit more passion, tiny bit angry in his press conferences the past times, but we have. I've written my own club off a cup once this season, and I was astonished after a couple of draws in the Aberdeen defeat that we ended up winning at Celtic Park 2-1. But then, it's living in dreamland. As a draw isn't a bad result either. I would take a draw, but I don't think we will be playing for a draw. Craig Halkett said today as well that he didn't ever mention a draw or anything. It was just 3 points. So I wouldn't expect a back to the walls performance from Hearts. I still think it'd be quite an open, expansive game.
What do you think of this one? Graham was saying, I think we will play a 3-5-2 on Sunday.
An interesting one, quite possibly. Obviously, Halkett will come back in. Milne will be at left back. Either Steinwender or Altena will be at right back. And Findlay at centre back. I still think we'll go with a 4. But then you could argue, I think Adieu is due a start. He's been coming back. I think he's performed okay and he's come off the bench lately. Magnusson is partners due. Magnusson's partner's due to give birth any minute now, so Magnusson could be out. You just obviously don't know, so that will be interesting. Benny, I guess that if we do play more people 3-5-2, that will help us solidify us in the middle of the park, and with Leonard, Beningame, and Adieu or Magnusson might help that. And I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Mato comes in for Kabori. I like Kabori's passion, his effort. You can't fault him for his effervescence and his power, but he's still, his movement's a bit off and he doesn't have much composure. So it'll be interesting to see whether Kabori partners Braga or if Mato or a new signing from Uganda comes in as well.
There you go, Telford. That is a question for you. What do you make of that?
I would say so, yeah. I would drop Kabori, but I think he will still come off the bench if he doesn't start. I still like him because he put us in a good effort, and he did win the most duels out of any Hearts player against Hibs. So that shows his fight. I know a duel can also just be winning a header or blocking or tackling, but I still think he plays a part.
I guess just to show you that, obviously, I'm not going to I'm not going to. I'm trying my best to say Hearts. I'm trying my best for you to say Hearts are going to win the league, but I don't think it's going to come out your mouth. But yeah, but I'll try my best. I'll keep going. Come about 8 o'clock tonight. But Franklin Banangame, Devlin was all out the Celtic game. And people was like that. I don't know how they're going to cope because that three big players out of that team, and they cope well.
Should
As
have
well.
beat Celtic that day. Should have beat them.
Yeah.
I don't know how we didn't beat them. So yeah, it shows we've got our strength and depth. And Chesnikov played fine as well, so balance it out in the wides. Yeah, it'll be tight. And Rangers obviously made some new signings as well, and they still look quite suspect. I only watched the last 30 minutes, no, like last 35 minutes against Motherwell during the week. Oh, I think it's so close to call, but I think Rangers will. I wouldn't be surprised a lot of the goals are still scored from set pieces, judging by Hearts and Rangers' goal threats from our. Yeah.
From a Rangers point of view, then, Telfer, obviously, similar kind of situation to Celtic. They're not playing well, but they're still winning games. But I think that will be a bit of a different story on Sunday because obviously Hearts are dominating games. Rangers are having wee spells in the game, but I mean from a Hearts perspective as well. Before we go on to talk about Rangers, would you like to see Tavernier in that team because I still think he's a weak link in that team.
Yeah, I noticed that a couple of seasons ago, not even just last season, his Tavernier's he's suspect from 1v1 situations. He's quite easy for if you've got a pacey, tricky winger with a few skills up, who can jostle past. But then on the other hand, Tavernier's very deadly from crosses in play as well as crosses from set pieces. And he is the captain. Oh, I'll put it out. If we're at home, I would rather Tavernier be playing. But I think I would rather Tavernier not be playing if it was at Ibrox. I just think we'll be a little bit less on the front foot than we were last time when we beat Rangers 2-1. But just because I think there's a big difference in his abilities defensive to attacking.
What do you think of the comment coming in for Haskell Scumberley on YouTube? Thanks for watching. Again, he says Motherwell should have had 2 penalties in the first half, and the Motherwell dominated throughout the game. I mean, I only saw the highlights. I never saw the game live. I don't know about you, but Motherwell had about 3 or 4 decent chances, and that's with outside the penalty incidents.
Yeah, they had, I think it's 18 shots altogether Motherwell had in the game, and they looked really threatening. And I remember seeing the handball in Suter, but I read that within the laws of the game, because he had already stumbled and the ball had came off another part of his body while on the ground, I don't believe that should have been a penalty. I've not seen the other incident, so I can't comment on that. But I do think Fadinger was correctly sent off as well. I do think that was a correct sending off. And he didn't have any regrets. He didn't complain to the ref after he went to VAR.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know about you, but that incident was a red card every day of the week. But incidents like that should not go to VAR because everybody knows it's a red card every day of the week. And look, I know that they've got to do it, but I still don't think that should go to VAR.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, you'd rather 100% know it's been safely checked rather than it not. So I think that's VAR. and it was decided quite quick. I'll admit it wasn't one that had looked at different angles, and so I do think if you need to go to VAR, that's what VAR's there for. May as well just use it, even though 9 out of 10 the ref will just give a straight red. But if VAR said you should have a look at that again, that's just what VAR's for in my mind anyway. But yeah, you could argue for the ordinary fan watching the game, it's annoying because it disrupts the flow and rhythm.
Do you think a point would be more suited to, obviously you're going to win the game, obviously, but do you think like the now would you take a point?
Yeah, I hope we don't play for a point, and I don't think we will, but I would take a point, yeah.
Of course, Derek McInnes was talking about this game in front of the media. He says that it was well documented to me before the game when we went there early in the season. He's talking about Ibrox, how poor our record was as a club at Ibrox, but I think it was good for us in the sense that Rangers are a good side. They're up there, expecting to be up there. And then he goes on to say, but I do think from our point of view, this is going to let's go on and having won their previous and put us on a good performance shows that we can begin. Obviously, we beat Rangers at Castle as well, and that's the thing. Telfer, because I mean, obviously, when Hearts goes away to Ibrox, goes away to Parkhead, goes away to Easter Road, and win all their games, that's another sign of a league winning team.
Yeah, and it's an odd one, but you would obviously rather Hearts. It looks, say for example, Hearts lost the league games we've lost this season, 2 to Celtic, 1 to Rangers. Then the narrative would be so much different, saying that, oh, we're not better than Celtic or Rangers, or we can't play as well as them. But the fact that we haven't lost to any of them, touch wood, yet, it looks better and gives us more confidence, and we go there without any fear anymore. As Motherwell, Hibs, Falkirk, other teams, the fear factor's gone a little bit this season. The league's a bit more tighter.
Why do you think that is, Telford? Do you think it's because Rangers and Celtic got off at this season, or do you think that they've come down to, Hearts and Motherwell and the rest of the team's level? Because I'm hearing a lot of fans saying that, or do you think from a Hearts point of view that's a bit unfair?
No, I would say it is fair, if I'll be honest, to go against a little bit of my team. When you look at Celtic and Rangers in Europe, they've been not at it at all compared to previous campaigns. Celtic, of course, have been abysmal in the Champions League qualifiers and very mediocre in the Europa League, even though they got through. They've been mediocre, and Rangers have been pretty grim in Europe as well. So I think it does play a factor, and once you see other teams going and getting a bit of success and picking up points, it shows to other clubs that, yeah, why not have a go, or it's really good.
James earlier saying in the chat, I think it will be a draw on Sunday at the game. James, get well. I know you're in hospital as well. So we're all thinking about you, and get back on the radio soon for you be long. Hasley Scumber says, how long is Devlin and Shankland out for? I think Shankland is out for, am I right in saying after the split, or I'm just...
No, you're close, but I think Shankland should be back within maybe a month. I think it's still a month, 4 or 5 weeks. Devlin, there's a slight chance Devlin could be back for the Aberdeen game. Devlin will get in a couple, maybe 3 games before Shankland. And obviously, as a Hearts fan, I've been counting down the days until Devlin and Shankland are back, where they're back amidst their leaders and they're the leaders of our team.
So what I mean, obviously in previous seasons, Hearts and teams like that go to Ibrox and maybe sit behind the ball, park the bus, but I don't think that they will do that on Sunday. I think it'll be quite an open game. I don't know about you, but I think from the first whistle, Hearts will come at Rangers.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, times have changed. It's not often you hear that, but in their past games against Rangers, obviously we have gone in front first, and I don't know if we'll go right at them in the first 10 minutes. I think we'll just kind of try and keep the ball, and it's so interesting because the pressure's on Rangers, but then if you can silence their crowd and make the 1,000 fans, 800, how many away fans were allowed in at Ibrox, you can get their voices heard, all the more merrier.
I always think that when teams go to Ibrox or Parkhead or even Tynecastle, and like you've got to take the game in stages, and I think if Hearts gets to maybe say 15 minutes, half an hour, half time, and 0-0 or even 1-0 up, then that they've got something to build for, because we all know how quickly that Rangers support can turn on the team. I mean, you just have to look at Ibrox, where they were winning against Mark 1-0 and they still get booed off.
Yeah, and Rangers, they're struggling for goals. I know obviously they've put 8 past Queen's Park and then 5 past Kelly, but Miofsky scored like 10 goals, I think, in all comps. Chermiti has scored 4. And Nadiri, still wait and see. I think he's got, when I had a little look, I think he's got like 8 goals this season, and obviously a lot of it in Germany. He scored 2 in the cup against Queen's Park. So it's just, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a set piece. If that Fernandes is Hearts' biggest threat, the head of Fernandes from a corner.
From a Rangers point of view, they were in the hiking to nothing, right? Because if they get beat last week, they would be saying, well, Queen's Park and all that. But they won convincingly. And a lot of people saying, well, it was only Queen's Park you were playing and all that. But I mean, I don't know about you, Telfer, but I mean, they've not been playing well of late. But because they've scored that many goals at home against Queen's Park, that kind of like breeds confidence as well. And albeit they had a difficult away game on Wednesday against Motherwell, but I mean, because that kind of breed confidence no matter what the opposition is like.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And yeah, Scott Olsen got on the score sheet. Chukwani, Romans, I don't think he got on the score sheet, but I think he's got minutes. I think some of those players are internationalists. They got good pedigree behind them. Yeah, I expect a close match, and I think Makoma is playing a little bit better, but I think he's a bit of the weak link. I don't know, Giga we playing as well, but yeah, there's solid enough in the middle of the park with Raskin as well. I think he's been playing fine.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, what do you think the prediction will be on this game? Because before we get your prediction, Telfer, Danny Rowe was talking this morning, and he says it's another big game, and this is our chance to close that gap. But you'll be hoping that he's talking nonsense, as we say in Scotland.
Yeah. Say that again. Sorry, you said roll.
Yeah, so Danny Rowe says today that it's going to be another difficult game, and it's a chance for us to close that gap up at the top.
Yeah, and they will seek to. I think a draw isn't necessarily a disaster for Rangers, but a draw is a serious dent, and a draw is just a blemish on Hearts. So, yeah, pressure's on them.
Presses on them. Telford says fight and talk. That's right. Telford's on the show as well. Before we move on, Rangers against Hearts, 4:30 kickoff. 2 games on Sky. That's good. What's your prediction for this game, Telfer?
My heart says 2-1 Hearts, but my brain's saying a draw, so I'll go for 1 each.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was going to go for 1 each as well before I heard what you were going to say, Telford. But yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I'm going to sit in the fence. Rangers 1, Hearts 1. As well. So yeah, I mean, it should be a good game. It should be a good atmosphere on Sunday as well. I mean, this whole I know it's only 3 points at stake, Telford, but it feels like a cup final.
Yeah, it's biggest game in Hearts, maybe top 2, top 3 biggest game in Hearts history since the Scottish Cup final when it beat Hibs 5-1. I would, so far this season as well. When you look at over the years, in the past 10, 12 years, also we've had some couple of demotions that I don't want to talk about in between then, but yes.
And I know that we spoke about VR early on about the Murrow man getting sent off the other night, but I think because it's a big game, I think you've got to let. I wouldn't say a lot of tackles in the game, but I mean you've just got to let the game flow.
Yeah, and obviously we've had man off against St Mirren, man off against twice against St Mirren, sorry, at home and away, and we had one more off against Dundee. But I wouldn't say our discipline's bad. I would just say it's just been unfortunate. But yeah, hopefully the officials let the game flow, and yeah, let it be a good spectacle, and hopefully they're not the main talking point, because I'll admit Shankland's goal possibly shouldn't have counted when Hearts won 2-1 the last time, because it did touch his arm, but then you could argue he was all the way on the halfway line when it happened, but that was a bit of controversy as well.
Okay, so that's a big game on Sunday. Don't forget that myself and Graham will be on Sunday talking about the game. 6:30, we'll be looking back at the Kilmarnock Celtic game and the big game at Ibrox between Rangers and Hearts. And then we'll look at the rest of the games as well. So look out for that one on Sunday. Another game taking place on Sunday. 2:00 kickoff. And I don't know if anybody can let me know why this game is Sunday, because it's not on the TV. It's Murrow against Aberdeen. And I think before we get into talking about this game, Telfer, I think the headline was written today about Peter leaving and Tony Docherty will take the team until the end of the season. I don't know about you, but were you a bit surprised? But also at the same breath, if you were an Aberdeen fan, would you not be a bit annoyed, because obviously Peter Leaving's been here for since before Christmas or after Christmas as well, and if they were going to make that appointment, why not do that then instead of now?
Yeah, I find that really bizarre. With Fannin Steele's experience and coaching CV, it was lauded as a major coup for Aberdeen. So I'm astonished that a new gaffer hasn't came in. But as the things go in football, he could prove me and others wrong with a sensational appointment, and they take the league by storm next season. But I know they're looking at the league table. They're 11 points behind sixth. 2 games in hand though. One is at home to Celtic, however. It's still possible for Aberdeen to catch up with sixth. It's very slim. But for a club like Aberdeen, they should be pulling out all stops to try and snatch that sixth spot. So I would be very angry if I was an Aberdeen fan right now.
Are you every time I talk about Aberdeen on the show, I always think of Dave Cormack because I've been saying this for ages, and maybe I'll be right one day. But do you think Aberdeen fans will be getting on Dave Cormack's back? Because obviously, if he doesn't get this appointment right, they'll be looking at him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aberdeen will rightly look at Motherwell, and Aberdeen are a bigger club than Motherwell. They're probably a bigger club than Hibs, so I'll say that because I'm a Hearts fan. They shouldn't be. They should be challenging. Their season's just going to be quite stagnant, but it's quite funny, and to know in the past 10 or 12 years, however it goes on, Hearts and Aberdeen rarely finish both in the top 6. Either one of us has a good season, the other one doesn't. That's just how it's went for the past few years. So it's I hope for Aberdeen's sake. I don't even know how their stadium plans are going on as well, but they've got a lot of potential. And you've seen they have, I think it was over 100,000 fans, a bit more, turned up in the streets after the Scottish Cup title, the Scottish Cup win. So, yeah, hope Aberdeen have the potential, one club city for the full northeast of Scotland to showcase how important and how big they are to Scottish football history and current day as well.
In saying that, some of the Aberdeen fans might be happy that Tony Dockett is back at Aberdeen until the end of the season anyway. But do you think that's to get the fans back on side because he done a brilliant job with Derek McInnes for many years?
Yeah, possibly. Someone who knows, you'll still know a lot of the backroom staff. I'm pretty sure a lot of those staff are still there, or I might be wrong. Yeah, Tony Dock's got a good resume. He's been well respected in the game. I might be wrong. Was Tony Docherty not at Ross County with someone though?
Yeah,
obviously he didn't. He's not
Callum
done well
Davison.
there. So yeah, you can. Who time will tell. But I still think if I was an Aberdeen fan, with who have they been linked with, that Hornland as well from Norway. It's maybe not a surprise, but because how long it's dragged on, you thought a new manager was going to come in. But
and why, before we go on to talk about the game, why do you think it has took a long time? It feels like forever in a day, but why do you think it's took a long time for Aberdeen to get this appointment right? Do you think it's because of what I was saying about Dave Cormack knows that he'll be in soapy water if he doesn't get this right, or do you think it's because they want to get it right? Because I mean we're nearly 3 months before the end of the season.
yeah, it's kind of unheard of. I know football's unique, but if something like that's going to happen, where it's going to be people that you would just have them in the door within the first few weeks, and even announce within the first few weeks that it's till the end of the season, because that puts the players and fans and the coaches in the know, and they feel content rather than being up in the air, not sure who's going to come in and manage and lead the team. So I think it reeks of mismanagement, in my opinion. I don't know. You don't see much clubs. Why did you not just get them in the first few weeks and say it's till the end of the season, or at least announce then that we're going to take an extensive look? I've been quite bewildered by it.
As for Motherwell, it's the total opposite. It's like night and day when you see Motherwell, because I mean they're coming off a brilliant result against Rangers, Sigan nick the game, and then beat Celtic comfortably the other week as well. Been playing some brilliant football, but also as well, what is key to that, some of the Hearts, no one came in for any of the players during the transfer window, and I think that's a bonus.
Yeah, Maswanisi, keeping him, and also keeping Jens Bertolascu. I think they were crucial, and Stephen Welsh coming back to Motherwell again. It's been really good. I think Motherwell could still finish third or second. I think they could probably still finish with like maybe even as high as 70 points, maybe 65 to 70 points range, finishing fourth. And that's incredible. And 8 times out of 10, 65 points is more than enough for third, never mind fourth. So it underlines how phenomenal their play has been, the recruitment, and the transformation of the Motherwell team. You look at the first couple of months, they were getting ridiculed a little bit for the new possession style football, but patience reaps rewards, and you've got people who believe in the philosophy and the players to play it. It can play it beautifully.
Yeah, similar to Hearts, Motherwell are similar to Hearts this season in terms of like they're playing good football, and they're very consistent. They're very consistent as well.
Yeah, Motherwell would be within 3 points of Hearts, or maybe level with Hearts, if it wasn't for the first 2.5 months. And it's Celtic and Rangers, so that's, who knows? Maybe next season, though a lot can change, as we know. But maybe next season we're talking about a definitive four horse race rather than a 3 horse race / asterisk.
That could going to be a good thing for our game in Scotland, and I suppose it leads me back to my next point, Telfer, because obviously Motherwell's struggling this season. Motherwell's having a good season as well, but these teams shouldn't be doing so well because of the budget. So I think, like, if you ask any kind of Motherwell fans as well, I think, I don't know about you, but I mean, maybe you would say the same thing about Hearts, but I think they're kind of like overachieving.
Yeah, I think other than Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Hibs, and Aberdeen, I still think the 7 other clubs, their main ambition is to just stay in the league, with how tight and the finances and how important it is just to stay in. I'm not saying that's their top priority, but I still think that's their medium priority. First and foremost, just make sure you're safe. And it's incredible to show that, if Motherwell are rightly showing their worth.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you can go through the Motherwell team as well. They've not got one player, one easy that everybody's talking about. I like the boy Just. You know, I do think he's a good player, and no disrespect to Morrow, but I think you'll be lucky to see him at Fir Park next season, and I think you'll be surprised to see if there's, well, it'll be a good big summer for the Murrow players.
Yeah, Elijah Just will have the World Cup window opportunity as well to put himself out to bigger clubs with New Zealand. They've qualified. They've got quite an easier group. I know they've got Belgium. I think it's like a South Korea. I can't remember, but they've got a favourable draw for New Zealand. And yeah, Elijah Just, yeah, I like the look of him. He's so agile. He's always so nimble and quick to got a good touch.
And your prediction for this game on Sunday?
I can't see anything other than 2-0 Motherwell.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go one more than you, Telfer. I'm going to go 3-0 to the Well on Sunday as well. And to be quite honest with you, I think it will be a bit of a shock if Aberdeen gets anything out of that game, if they win the game or get a point out of that game. I'm just going to be on form that how well Murrow's playing and how poor Aberdeen's playing this season.
Yeah, I can't see anything other than Motherwell 3 points. The Dons will look to pick up something, but I think it's for you look at the form book, can't see anything other than a convincing win for Motherwell.
There you go. So that is the games on Sunday. But the big news for Aberdeen is Peter Leven and Tony Dock will be here until the end of the season. So we're still looking for your Valentine's Day poem. That I don't know. You can let me know, Telfer, right? If this is a bit, probably say a bit poor, right? So here we go. Now you can give me stick if you want, right?
I won't give you too much stick for at least putting yourself out there and going. Nothing wrong with trying it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or else you custody pie me or whatever, right? So here we go. Roses are red, violets are blue. Scottish football zones here for you.
Not bad. Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I'll go back to my job anyway after this. It's fine. I won't be a poet.
You won't be going viral for any unfortunate words or memes with that little prose, so you'll be fine. You've done yourself.
Yeah. On behalf of me and my family, I would like to thank everybody who voted for me there. And so I'll just stick to the football because that's what I know best. Well, sometimes. That's so if you've got any poems, you can let us know in the chat. It's just for a bit of fun because Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Right, so that is the games done and dusted for Sunday. Let's look at the games on Saturday then before we look at the championship. Falkirk and Dundee United. This is going to be an interesting game because Falkirk's in a good run of form. Dundee United hasn't had a game for a few weeks because of waterlogged pitch and all that. So it's going to be quite interesting how Jim Goodwin says he's going to cope with an away day at Falkirk.
Yeah, I think Falkirk are putting a lot of pressure on Hibs. I think they'll go they're level on points with Hibs now for 5th. And I think Falkirk will be favourites for that. Dundee United have been very lacklustre, a bit toothless. They can still be quite hard to beat sometimes. And remember the 0-0 draw, or it was 1-1, sorry, at Tynecastle early in the season, and they were horrible. Their gamesmanship tactics, wasting time. All teams do this, by the way, not just them. They're so stoic in their defence and their structure and ugly to play against. But Falkirk at home, I think they're on confidence. They'll just have the edge.
I think when I'm talking about teams punching above their weight, I think you can maybe put Falkirk into that as well, just because of the way that they come up this season. But again, are you surprised? Because obviously they've had two back-to-back promotions, and also are you surprised that? And Falkirk fans might hate me for saying this, but are you surprised that none of the kind of top six teams, I maybe Aberdeen, are not looking at John McGlynn, because obviously he'll be on more of a budget, and I mean, it just goes to show you what you can do with half a budget.
Yeah, and Falkirk deserve to be in the Scottish Premiership. Them as a club, their tradition, their fan base, decent stadium, albeit a hefty stands, but still. They been wholeheartedly been having a tremendous season, and they look very unlikely not to finish in the top six, barring a bit of a collapse in form, shall we say. And at the moment, it's 50-50 between them and Hibs for that fifth spot and maybe a European qualifier for conference. So I'm not sure if it's next season where fifth doesn't get you anything, because I know our coefficient has dropped down. So I think our European spots have went down one, but I'm not too sure if it's 4 or if it's still 5 just yet.
Yeah, no, that would be a big achievement, and yeah, I do agree with you as well, Telfer, because I think if they finish off building another stand opposite the main stand, it would be a good atmosphere. I mean, it's still a good atmosphere now, but it would add to the occasion.
Yeah, I think that's why Falkirk Stadium can also be one of the coldest and windiest stadiums out there, because it doesn't have that stand to block our Scottish elements out there. But John McGlynn's been doing a fantastic job. He still has a lot of the same players that helped him in League One and Championship, so they're there on merit.
You might think I'm repeating what I'm saying here, but I'm kind of not. It's because it's a very unique season in Scotland. I mean, you can actually go through that Falkirk team, and they haven't got one or two; they've got 3 or 4 kind of like outstanding players, and I think that was another manager. John McGlynn was happy to see the back end of the transfer window. But I don't know about you, but were you surprised that nobody came in for any of the Falkirk players?
Yeah, possibly, but at the same time, January's a hard window, and maybe the feel-good factor at Falkirk is just so good and so tight-knit that even the odd players that are on the bench a lot of the time are happy and content because the club's only going on the up.
As for Dundee United, we've had a few weeks off. Had a good start to the season. They've tapered off big time this season. What's went wrong for United this season?
Oh, I know, like Trapanovsky. They had another striker, Australian. I'm not sure Trapanovsky is. I think they're just not. Their form's just dipped. I know they've got Fata in the midfield, and I think they're just a bit easy to play against, really, to be honest. I don't think the defence is still okay, I think, but we've not got that same fast, free-flowing football that led them to like a top 6 finish last year.
Yeah, and I mean Jim Goodwin is a good manager as well. When you look at it, that he got them up in what was it, one season? Because was that the season he was with Aberdeen as well? So he is a good manager, but sometimes it's I suppose it depends on what players you get in as well, Telfer.
Yeah, I know they got a lot of stick at the start of the season because they had a few games in a row with only one or no Scottish player in their starting 11. Sometimes goes to show you that Scottish players are better than we think, but at the same time, if there is players abroad that are better, it's a results business, as we know. So that was interesting for that storyline.
What do you think the scoreline will be in this one? For me, I would be very surprised if Falkirk gets beat or even draws in this game. So I'll go for a 2-0 win for Falkirk.
Yeah, I think Dundee United will score. I think 2-1 Dundee United.
2-1 Dundee United.
Sorry, 2-1 Falkirk. Sorry, 2-1. I think Dundee United was going to do 2-1 Falkirk.
I know you can go for Dundee United if you want. I think if any United fans will be watching, they'll be loving that score, and that'll be another one to tick start the season as well. Let's go over to your neighbours in Edinburgh. Hibs, they're at home to St Mirren, and I don't know about you, and I know that you'll have a comment to make about Hibs because every rival team has a comment to say about each other. But I think like the best way that you can sum up this game is the most two inconsistent teams in the league.
Yeah, I would say Hibs have been all right. They've just been average. They've shown in glimpses that they do have talented players. And St Mirren were all right at the start of the season. Obviously, League Cup triumph. Obviously, beating my team last week. I do think they have missed. I don't know if it's the striker Mandron or they had a player up top, striker who left last season. I think he went in one of the last games of the season to America. He was really fast. Alazania. I think they've missed him big time. But I still think Hibs will be. I reckon out of all the managers in the league and the clubs, I can see David Gray being at Hibs for another 3 or 4 years and not be overly surprised. I think Hibs will be in the place now with a bit of stability that they'll be a top 5 minimum team for a few years.
I was at when we now tell for on the show of the week, we always speak about St Mirren, and I always mention about that famous cup win against Celtic, and they played well. But I mean, and it's funny when you think about it. Like, you know, St Mirren came off that cup win against Celtic, and Aberdeen got battered against Celtic, and up till then, Aberdeen had a decent season last season. But it's opposite effect for St Mirren because they've actually won a cup, and apart from beating Hearts the other week, they can't even buy a win at the moment. So what do you think's happened?
Yeah, and they almost couldn't buy a goal. It was only a goal from a corner with 3 minutes to go against Hearts. Though saying that, they did score 3 against Kelly. I just think they were. I was like, Gogic has been quite a figure for them in the past few seasons. And Killian Phillips has been very aggressive and he's fast and aggressive in the middle of the park. I just think it's just one of those seasons. They're still on for this could still win a double. Who knows? Don't put that past them. Well, we'll see. Hi, Regan.
All right, guys, how we doing?
Hi, Regan. Yeah, no, but obviously we'll go back to talk about the games in a minute. We've spoke about
I hope you guys are well.
yep.
Yourself?
Doing well, thanks. Just waited 45 minutes for a bus, so not
Oh
the best. And finally
no,
late, but
obviously they're not watching the football zone as well, but the number 45 bus
I
of a
tried
little
to
bit.
spread the word on the bus, but no. But no, they only they. I'm joking, by the way.
Yeah. We'll go back and talk about the big games in a minute or two. But I mean, I was just saying to Telford Reagan that Hibs and St Mirren, I don't know about you, but I mean, I think this is the most two inconsistent teams at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of Hibs and St Mirren, Michael, I think you've got to say credit to obviously Hibs. I mean, you look at the last few weeks. Um, they got a draw against Rangers, then they beat Dundee United, but then they follow up with a derby defeat against their local rivals. But I was actually saying good luck to some Hibs supporters on Tuesday when I was through in Edinburgh, but obviously that luck didn't transpire. But I think at the end of the day, Michael, I think the Highways actually played pretty well on Tuesday, but I think sometimes as well the form the Hearts are showing is very good for Scottish football, and I think it's good. I mean, we're going until 12 games to go, and we've got a three-way title race. You know, I think it's brilliant for the league. I know that me and Telford were talking a few months ago about obviously you. I mean, I think you said to me, Telford, that you felt like you can speak to me after Christmas and see where
Yeah.
Hearts are. But I mean, it's way after Christmas now. How are you feeling?
Oh, nervous. I've never been so like the feeling and watching the scores, and I feel like a Rangers or Celtic fan for the first time in my life.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, how
such
did
as how important it is not to
so,
drop any points in a game.
so, I mean, did you actually go to the match on Tuesday night, Telford?
No, I wasn't at the match, but yeah, I was at my running training instead. I struggled to get a ticket,
Oh,
but I was dancing in the shower as I got home. Had an extra long
nice.
shower. I was just blasting BBC Radio Scotland, and
I bet you were running.
yeah, I was.
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of the hybrids, I don't think there'll be too disheartened, Michael, because I think at the end of the day, they've still had a pretty good season, and I still think because of I'm looking at Aberdeen, and Aberdeen are 12 points behind Falkirk. So I think in terms of Hibs, they're sort of guaranteed a top six finish. So I think they'll be pretty happy with that. To be honest with you.
Yeah, what? I mean, obviously, before you come on, Reagan, we were talking about St Mirren. I mean, what's kind of went wrong with St Mirren, guys? Because I mean, everything's that cup final. They've been back the way.
I don't think too much went wrong, to be honest with you, Michael. I just think now that they're probably the expectation from the players, probably self awareness that probably, as I said to you before, the fact that I'm going to actually ask you guys this question because I would love to get Robbie on the line right now because I see that the Northern Ireland job's back up for grabs again. I don't know if you know
Oh,
that, Michael.
Yeah, Mike O'Neill, I saw that today that he's got a job in England, Telfer.
He's moving to Blackburn Rovers.
wow.
But what he's going to do is he's going to see out the rest of the qualifying campaign with Northern Ireland, so he'll do two jobs at the same time.
Okay, I was actually saying to my friends and stuff when St Mirren won the cup that one of the best things could do with Stephen Robinson, that'd be the best chance moment for him to move on to if he
Yeah.
wants to go to an international club or like a bigger money down south. Just has he reached that limiting point with St Mirren? Maybe some will argue not.
I don't actually think he's doing a bad job. I think in any normal year, Michael, I think this would be a acceptable place for St Mirren. But I just feel like because he's got 3 top 6 finishes and a trophy, I just think he's done everything he can there. And I think now that Michael O'Neill today has took the Blackburn job, I think Stephen Robinson could be in the frame for the. I would like to get your thoughts, but I just think that's perfectly made from Telfer.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think he'll be a prime candidate for that, and yeah, St Mirren fans couldn't really begrudge him if he was to move on to someone like his national side as well.
Yeah, because I think Robbie's mentioned it before as well, Michael. That I think Michael O'Neill's kind of ambition is to manage in England. And I think you look at Stephen Robinson. Stephen Robinson's ultimate ambition, according to Robbie, is to manage his country. So I think if that opportunity arose, I don't think he would turn it down either.
Am I being a bit unfair to Telford Reagan to say that St Mirren has punching above their weight, but also if that's right about because the rumours will be about Stephen Robertson going to Northern Ireland. Do you think he's hit the grass ceiling in terms of what he can do at St Mirren?
Yeah, you could argue that. I think so. I would actually say St Mirren. People disagree, but are St Mirren the third lowest, other than maybe Livingston and Kilmarnock, or
Probably
St
Motherwell
Mirren,
as well.
or I think Motherwell bigger than St Mirren as a club.
I don't
Are Livingston the second lowest, biggest, traditional, most money income fans club in the division?
Yeah,
Other than
I
Livingston.
think you could be spot on there. And I think you've got to take into context as well that Stephen Robinson's got top 6 finishes. He's got European football, so I don't think he'd want to tarnish that legacy. So from my point of view, I think what's going to happen is, Michael, Stephen Robinson will see out the season, then he will go to Northern Ireland. There you go. I'd like to get people's thoughts on that because I think it's a genuine possibility.
All depends what happens tomorrow as well, because if they drop points tomorrow or even get beat.
I don't think he would go. I don't think they would sack him, but I think he would go on his own choice. Because as we've spoke to John Needle before on this program, Michael, I mean, the job Stephen Robinson's done is very much appreciated by everyone of our bloody persuasion, because he's done a brilliant job for a St Mirren manager to get them into Europe and to 3 top 6 finishes to get 3 top 6 finishes is an absolute unbelievable achievement for them.
Yeah. So what do you think of the prediction tomorrow, Reagan, on this one?
I'm going to go the High Beast 3, St Mirren 1. 3-1 to the High Beast.
Telfer?
Yeah, I smile on there because I think that was my prediction as well. I think Hibs will bounce back. And yeah, I think they showed some promise of their new signings against Dundee United and against Hearts at some moments. I think we 3-1 Hibs.
Obviously, I've been waiting for the bus for the last 45 minutes, so I don't know if Michael's been sitting on the fence, Telfer, but has Michael been sitting on the fence on it with predictions?
Bits, moments, some moments.
Yeah. Okay, so I will go. Sorry, Robbie, to say this, but I will go 2-1 to Hibs, only because Hibs is at home in this one. Let's talk about the last game of the weekend then before we go on to the championship. And I think, Reagan, looking at this one, it's Dundee and Livingston. I think this will be a 6-pointer, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, I don't think that this would be a game for the football purists. I think this will be one where it'll be scrappy, it'll be kind of boring to watch. But I think it's a very important game at the bottom end of the table. But I know Stephen Presley's been dreaming about 3 points against Livingston for a long time, so I'm sure he'll be dreaming as per usual, as he says in his press conferences. But um, I think at the end of the day, I think in terms of Livingston, I thought they played really well at Celtic Park. I felt like Celtic probably could have been about 4 or 5 up at half time, to be honest with you. I thought the Livingston shot stopper was played absolutely brilliant. I think McGregor had a chance. I think so many chances from the Celtic point of view, and they could have been about 4-0 up at half time. So I think at the end of the day, I think in terms of the game, I think the important thing from Marvin Bartley is to try and stay in the game. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but David Martindale he had a walkie-talkie kind of headset on, talking to the bench,
I've seen that. That was funny.
and I'm sort of thinking, is David Martindale not actually left his job as manager? Because why else would they have a walkie-talkie headset on at Celtic Park?
I don't know what you tell for right, but as soon as I heard that news, I think Reagan, I think it was last week on the show, it smacks of Craig Levein going up the stairs at Hearts.
Yeah, I remember those days, but I wasn't actually surprised. I can Martindale loves the club, loves his job. If he still thinks he's got a point to prove, and it's a bit unconventional, but needs must. Survival's at stake.
Yeah, I mean, I just found that a bit weird, to be honest with you, that he was sitting at Celtic Park with a sort of walkie-talkie kind of
I
earpiece.
never actually saw that, to be honest, not even on the highlights.
Yeah, it was on the telly, Michael, that he was sitting at Celtic Park with a walkie-talkie kind of earpiece in, talking through instructions. But hopefully Marvin Bartley's got full control of what he's doing over there, because I think Marvin Bartley's a good guy and he's obviously knows his football as well, Tilfa.
Yeah, he's still relatively a bit inexperienced as manager. I know he's had time at Queen of the South, so he's still newish.
I don't think that the time at Queen of the South went too well either. Because
No,
remember,
it didn't. No.
remember he was talking about the players are playing too much in PlayStation. That's why he's not winning games. Remember?
That infamous interview. Yeah.
As for Dundee, Reagan, brilliant performance last week at Celtic Park. They're only a moment away from knocking Celtic out the cup.
Yeah,
and I know
it was a great goal by the Dundee player. Outstanding goal. I actually watched it and I went, wow. You know, it's one of the
And-
goals where you don't actually mind that they've scored against Celtic, because you're sitting watching it and going, what a goal. I think that's one of the best. I think that's one of the best goals I've seen at Celtic Park since I've seen John McGinn put into against Celtic under Brendan Rodgers. Honestly, I thought it was a great goal.
Kilmarnock scored a great goal against you one time, 2 or 3
Yeah,
years.
I think it was Koulibaly.
Yeah.
Was that in the League Cup?
No, I think it was in the league.
Stephen Kingsley's free kick.
Yeah, that was a good goal. That was last year
Yeah.
when Brendan Rodgers brought in Bernabe and everybody started booing. Then Stephen Kingsley puts one in the top bin.
I mean, what game? I know you say Gary on, Telford, that you've got a lot of time for Stephen Presley, but what game make of him back in management in Scotland?
He's Dundee are where Dundee normally are. People can maybe say they're underperforming a little bit, but I think their centre midfield, Danda started performing a lot better as well. Congreve. So I think they're still missing a bit of spark up front though.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think The match really changed last week when Stephen Presley took off Simon Murray. But I think at the end of the day, I think in terms of what Dundee are trying to do, I think he'll be a sort of important person to try and get involved in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think your prediction will be, Telfer, for Dundee and Livingston?
I'm going for a nervy 2-1 Dundee win.
Reagan?
I'm going to go. Is Dundee at home?
Yep.
I'll go for Dundee 3. Marvin Butley's Livingston 0.
I will go for a 2-goal win for Dundee tomorrow, 2-0 against Livingston. That is the Premiership. We'll go into the Championship in a minute or two. I just wanted to get Reagan's thoughts on the big games this weekend. First up, 2 o'clock, Rugby Park, Kilmarnock against Celtic, and then after that, up there, mate, Ibrox, Rangers against Hearts.
Yeah, it's Sunday's a day where I can't wait just to sit back, the telly on, few biscuits, and just enjoy the game.
Biscuits.
Few biscuits of choice, but my favourite biscuit is a club biscuit.
Oh, that's almost a bar instead of a biscuit.
It's got to be either a mint one or a mint or the orange one as well. I like the orange biscuits.
Maybe you'll get that for Valentine's Day, Reagan. I'm not sure.
Sadly, Michael, Valentine's Day is not up to much this year, but I would say that's for better reasons than not better reasons.
So you're happy with yourself.
Yeah.
Be happy with yourself.
But no, what about the games, Reagan? I'm looking forward to two game drive on the telly.
Yeah, Michael, and I see Sky are getting a lot of credit for it, but I would like to just point out to Sky as well that it's because TNT have got 12 FA Cup matches on Sunday, so I don't actually know if that's why Sky have chose to put two Scottish Premier League games on. So as much as I think Sky's a brilliant company, if they're willing to offer me a job, that'd be fantastic. But I don't know if it's because there's 12 FA matches on TNT that there's no Premier League games, and they're probably just looking about saying what can be put on here. But I think it's great for the Scottish League because it's two massive games, and I think for once in a while it actually will showcase the both ends of the table, because I think the first match is intriguing. I think Celtic will find it tough because I'm sure you guys spoke about it earlier. I'll tell you something. What a turnaround by Billy Dodds and Neil as well. 2 wins in a row. Beat Aberdeen and then beat St Mirren. I'm really happy for them because I think they done really well last year when they went in with Barry Ferguson, and they've shown that they can get a proper squad going there. I think they probably done some really good recruitment in the January window, and I think the fact they brought in Finlay from Rangers. I said to you guys a few months ago, and I put it on TikTok as well a few months ago, about the fact that I think if Finlay can play well in the next 10 games and play well, then I think he could be in the island of Steve Clark. Because I don't know if you guys have mentioned it, but the fact that Mr. Barnes has knocked Scotland back, then that's going to be a disappointment. I don't know if you guys have mentioned it, Michael.
Yeah, no, we were going to talk about the Scotland games as well when after the Championship games as well, but yeah, that's
in essence.
Yeah, but it's a big blow to Scotland. But I mean, I want your take on like what Telford was in there on Reagan about Celtic and Rangers aren't playing the best of football, but they're still winning ways. They're still finding ways to win.
Yeah, they are, and I think that's credit to Celtic because they're showing that they can win. They can win under pressure, and it also doesn't matter how they actually play. I think they're showing that they can actually um, grind wins out. But for me this weekend, I'm going to go for a big score for Celtic because I think the last 2 weeks, I think for Fodringham, I think Martin O'Neill and I think Sean Maloney have been brilliant. But I think they'll be thinking to themselves, we don't want to take a heart attack again, because if the last two matches, Celtic, no doubt about it, should have took took 1 point from that game on Wednesday night because as much as they played well in the first half, second half when Livingston got the penalty, they defended really well. But I'll probably say that's a sign of champions. As much as Tilford doesn't want to hear it, I think it is a sign of champions. But then on Tuesday night, I think it's a sign of champions. The Hearts go to the very end and they win the game as well. So I've got my own thoughts in the league, and do you know what I would love, Michael? I would love it to be a freeway title race at the very last day of the season. I'd love for the helicopter to turn direction 3 times. I would love it. I just think it would be great. I think it brings so much attention to Scottish football as well. So my prediction for the Celtic match is, as much as I've talked them up, I'm going to give Burnley 1 goal, and I'm going to give Celtic 4 goals. I'm going to say 4-1 to Celtic. I'm going to say they'll go there. And for the Hearts and Rangers game, I'm going to go Rangers 2, Hearts 1. I think it'll be very close, but I think because I would say I would like to get you guys' thoughts as well. I mean, do you think that if Rangers don't win this game, then it's a straight shootout between Celtic and Hearts? Because if I'm a Rangers supporter, the last 2 matches against Motherwell and then obviously against Hearts, these are 2 matches that you've got to win.
Yeah, not yet, I'll admit. I think if Rangers are to lose on Sunday and then lose against Celtic, I think it's over for them. But I think, yeah, if they don't beat Celtic and then lose to Hearts, I think they can say goodbye to the title. I'll say that confidently.
Yeah, I think like for me, I think Rangers would have to get out something out that Motherwell game. I think that if they get beat on Sunday, I think that they will look back at that game on Wednesday night at Fir Park and kick themselves because that was a brilliant opportunity to beat Motherwell. And saying that Motherwell kind of like dominated the game.
I don't profess to look at the table all the time, but Rangers are the 3 points behind Hearts at the moment. Or is it now 4 because they drew?
5.
5. So if Rangers lose to Hearts, it's 8 points. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's too much. Especially when I heard today that Shankman's going to be back in 4 weeks. So
yeah,
I think if Hearts can get through this, then I think to be honest with you, I think Hearts are going to win the title. If they can get through these next few weeks, if they can get through the Rangers match, and they can get through obviously the Hibs game during the week. Obviously, they've got to play Motherwell at home, I think it is.
Yeah, that's the last game before the split.
Yeah, so I think there's some difficult matches in there, but and they're playing, is it Celtic as well? Um, Celtic at Celtic Park.
Yeah, that I think that will be after the split, but
Or is it? Yeah, so I mean, there's the difficult obstacles to overcome, but I just think every challenge Hearts are really meeting it with both hands. So I'm pretty sure my prediction that I think right now I would say Rangers, but from what I've seen the other night, Rangers look very fragile.
mhm.
Like Motherwell played them off the park. Stephen
Yeah.
O'Donnell was looking like prime Maradona with the passes he was playing. I don't know what the manager saying them or giving them special beans or whatever, but Stephen O'Donnell looks absolutely brilliant. He looked like a prime, a prime like Silva with the passes. He just looked absolutely brilliant. And same with the Motherwell players. I've honestly never seen a Motherwell team play as well. And did you know that's why I love it. That's why I love it. And I've got another prediction as well. I think that Stephen Welsh will be in the Scotland squad
Mm.
Yeah.
because
Harry
remember,
Moulton.
remember Michael, me and you spoke to Anthony Joseph, and he was saying that if Steve Clark wants to get him in the squad, now that was back in January, and that was when Stephen Welsh just returned to Celtic. So that's why Steve Clark wanted Stephen Welsh to go back to Motherwell because he felt that he could be in the world squad for Scotland. So I think that now that he's scoring goals and he's also playing really well, and you look at that Motherwell team, and you look at Steve Clark as well, he's thinking, who can I get a ball playing centre back? Stephen Welsh is no disrespect to Grant Hanley. I think Stuart Finlay and obviously Stuart Finlay and Stephen Welsh should be the starting pairing for Scotland. Honestly.
I
You're
think
giving
Halkett
to
slightly
Reagan.
better.
You're giving to Reagan. You're giving to Ian. He said evening, Michael, Reagan, and Telfa. And yep. So thanks for watching, Ian. And don't forget you can subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone YouTube channel. I don't think we got your prediction, Reagan, did we, for Rangers and Hearts?
Yeah, my prediction is 2-1 to Rangers, and my prediction for Celtic, Ian, is 4-1 to Celtic. I think that Martin O'Neill will be down the throats of the players and saying, you need to make sure that you end the game early because if Celtic get to 1-1 in 80 minutes, the place will be scrambling. They need to go there and they need to win the game. They need to win the game early and put everybody's nerves to rest, and also put the pressure onto Rangers and put the pressure onto Hearts as well.
There we go. That is the Premiership roundup. Before we go on to talk about Scotland, let's have a look at the Championship then. There's a game on tonight, actually.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, Michael. I can't wait
Yeah.
for it.
Airdrie against Johnson on the old plastic park again. Games tomorrow are both Ayr United confirming against Packet Thistle,
I'll be
Morton
watching that
against
game.
Great Rovers, and Ross County against Queen's Park. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Reagan, right? But I think the game of the weekend in the Championship is Morton against Great Rovers.
I don't know what you're watching, Michael, but for me, I think Morton are a decent team, but I think Rafe Rovers as well. I think Dougie Emery's doing a good job there, but I don't think Morton are up too much. Well, I hope. Well, I think they're a decent team, but I think in terms of the matches this weekend, I've got to say I quite like this match tonight. I think Airdrie played well against St Mirren. Don't know if you watched it, Michael, but I felt Airdrie played really well against St Mirren, and actually I actually think that Airdrie might take something from St Johnson tonight. I think for me it's going to be Airdrie 2, St Johnstone 2.
Telfer, what's your game of the weekend in the championship?
Oh, I know St John's. I'll go with St Johnston game. They've been,
It's got to be the Pals and Partick Thistle as well. I mean,
yeah,
the Pals are in the quarter final of the Scottish Cup, and so are Partick Thistle. And then obviously Partick Thistle, they'll get St Mirren in a few weeks. So that'll be interesting. I'm going to go to that game, Michael. You're going to go to that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested, Reagan, how early will bounce back tonight. I mean, they put in a lot of effort into that game, taking Saints to extra time.
Yeah, they played really well, actually. I felt quite sorry for them, but they're playing a good style of football under Taylor Sinclair. I think he's probably a very young manager, I think he is. But so he's just kind of building his squad together and seeing how they're going. But I think this will be a close one tonight. But I'm going to say 2-2.
Telfer, what about you over the weekend? What game kind of jumps out?
I think St Johnston, they've always been top of the league, but they've been faltering a little bit. Always just been doing enough. Josh McPake as well.
What tune?
I think.
I'm trying to think of that song that they're singing about Josh McPake.
I think 2-1 St Johnston.
There you go. It all kicks off
Like
tonight.
what I would say about St Johnstone is, for people that don't really watch the Scottish Championship, they've just signed a absolutely brilliant striker for the Scottish Championship level, and Josh Fowler, who was absolutely fantastic for Queen's Park. I mean, 19 goals in 25 games. They speaking to Sean Crichton, they signed him from Dubai FC, so they've picked him up from there. And I think I did actually see Josh Fowler at the Queen's Park against Ross match last Tuesday night, and he was supporting Queen's Park at the match. But I think he could be the difference for St Johnstone this season, because I watched them 2 weeks ago when Queen's Park played Rafe Roberts in the KDM Trophy quarter final, and he scored the goal and he played really well. So I think if St Johnstone are to win the league this season, he could be the one that could really sell that for them, because Josh Fowler's a fantastic player for them.
Okay, let's move on to the Scotland talk. There was all talk of Scotland going to the World Cup, and that's good. But also we had the Nations Draw taking place last night, Reagan, and it kicked off in September. What do you make of the draw? There's some good games in there.
There's some good games in there. I'm looking forward to some Swiss chocolate as well. But I think Switzerland are a hard team, but I wouldn't say they're a great team. Obviously, they showed up against us a few months ago, when we played them in the European Championships. But I think they've got some class players like that Granit Xhaka, who played for Sunderland, and obviously people like that. So I think they'll be an obvious threat. But I think in terms of the group, I mean, I think it's Macedonia, Slovenia, and obviously Switzerland. So I think in terms of that, I don't think you can really argue. I think the one thing that would annoy Steve Clark is the final match of the group is over in Switzerland. So if you're looking for a victory, I think you'll be kind of annoyed that it's not at home and it's actually against the worst team possible. Because if you think about it, if Switzerland are looking to win that game, all the pressure is going to be on us. So it's going to be hard. I think, I don't think, you know how that when we played the last kind of qualifiers to get to America, the fixtures kind of fell in our favour. But I think this time, I don't think they're really fell in our favour.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the Nations League's designed to play against nations that are of similar caliber and ability, and I think we've done pretty well with their teams who we've been drawn against. Switzerland, you can argue, is 50-50. Slovenia, I think we've got a bit better. Macedonia, North Macedonia are still. We should take care of them, I think. Famous last words.
Yeah, I mean, probably their main striker is Bojan Miovski, so I think we'll know him.
Yeah,
So I think I don't think we've got much to worry about them. I think I don't know if you remember, Telford, but remember they had a great striker in Macedonia called
Pandev.
Pandev that won Champions Leagues and played for I think it was Italian football as well. So he's obviously a cracking player, but I don't know if he's still playing. He must be about 40 or 45 now. But I don't think it's a scary prospect for us.
No, saying I don't know when the fixture is, but North Macedonia can get searingly hot at times. It could be 35, high 30s
A
for that
little question for you guys then, right? Do you think Steve Clark will be in charge for that?
Good question, Reagan.
Because me personally, I do not think he will be.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a personal decision for him.
Because I think see if we go out in the World Cup and we beat Haiti, and that probably see we go out and beat Haiti 5-0 in the first game, right? That probably takes us through to the knockout stages.
Yeah, you
Right.
only need one win, so he'd be lauded as a hero even with that.
He probably thinks to himself, I want to go as the best Scotland manager ever. So I think for me, I think that he would probably go, right, I want to keep my legacy intact and just move on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Derek McInnes would maybe be a candidate.
Yeah, I would personally, I would think that, but also you've got to think by that time as well. Maybe Derek McInnes may have won the title.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
then
In
he
Champions
thinks,
League.
then he thinks, well, I don't want to ruin my legacy at Hearts either. But who would I personally want for the Scotland job? There's two candidates for me, and I would go and chip on their doors. David Moyes, number one.
Yeah.
Second one is easy for me. John McGlynn, Falkirk. He would get us going. Look what the guy's done with Falkirk. The guy is made Falkirk is very, very good to watch, and he's a great brand of football. Look at all the players that have actually bought into it as well.
There you go, Reagan, your top pundit there.
He must be paying my wages or something.
I think me and Telford's only here to make up the numbers as well. John McGlynn is a good shout, Ian says. So yeah, it's a bit left field, but it's a good shout.
I think he probably deserves the opportunity because
no, he does. Yeah,
I know people said about that John McGlynn might be in for Aberdeen, might be in for Hearts, but I think he'd be a great option for Scotland because see when you're managing Scotland as well, it's more of a kind of, I don't want to be sort of bad towards John McGlynn here, but it's more a kind of older guy as well. If you look at the international managers, it's more kind of older guys. So that's why I think John McGlynn. That's why I think John McGlynn would be a great shout for the Scotland job once Steve Clark does leave after the World Cup.
I know why you're saying that, Reagan, because obviously budgets and all that doesn't come into it in Scotland. But I mean, if you look at the job that he's going to get Falkirk, right, with maybe like a quarter of the budget, Celtic, Rangers and Hearts has got. Imagine him with a bigger budget. So, and I know budget doesn't come into kind of like international football. But I mean, you just don't know, you know.
Yeah,
So
and
well, we're going to have to call it a day there. We're so before we go, I've got to tell you about a few things. We've got a show coming up on the 2nd of March, looking at St Johnson, and then we'll be joined by Alistair Blair, the historian of St Johnson. He wrote a book about St Johnson, and we've got an interview coming up with Agam Webb, the chairman of St Johnson, and also not forward to this one. We'll be back on Wednesday night with the boy Craig Ferguson walking to the World Cup. He'd done it at the Euros, and he's
I don't think I could be on that show, Michael.
America.
I
What?
don't think I could be on that show because I couldn't walk to America. I can't walk.
Well,
I can
yeah.
only walk to the toilet, never mind America. So I'd be putting you guys to shame.
And then yeah, so that's at 7:30. We'll be back on Sunday night looking back at the games at the weekend. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks to Reagan, thanks to Telford, and we'll do it all again on Sunday at 6:30 after the games.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.